I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and turn to number 1051 in the teal hymnal. Let us join together in singing We Are, number 1051. Child that's born, a morning star rises and sings through the universe who we are. For each star that's born, a morning star rises and sings through the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We the breath of our ancestors, we are the Spirit of God, we are mothers of courage and fathers of time, we are daughters of dusk and the sons of great visions, we're sisters of mercy and brothers of love, we are lovers of life and the builders of nations, we're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're seekers of mercy and mothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings through the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings through the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings through the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings through the universe who we are. Have a seat. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor. It is wonderful to see so many of you here as we gather to celebrate Earth Day. Those familiar, those new, especially families and young ones. It's wonderful to feel the presence of those watching on live stream. We wish you a good morning. If you would turn and wave to our folks on live stream. Welcome. Introduce yourself in the chat if you'd like, and you can fill out a newcomer survey so we can learn more about you and learn and be able to connect with you more easily. UUAA.org/newcomer survey. And for those in person, there is a newcomer welcome in the Redmond room right after the service. It's outside these doors, up a little ways and on the left. And someone will be there to help answer your questions and tell you a little bit more about this congregation. I'm Reverend Theresa Rohlck, Minister of Pastoral Care, and I'm joined in worship today by Stella Anderson, our Director of Spiritual Growth and Development, Stella, Dr. Carter Smith, our Acting Director of Music Ministries, Allison Halerz, our Pianist-in-Residence, Mike Halerz, our Technology Consultant, the amazing Chalice singers, yay,
And in addition to those you see on the chancel, there are many other staff and volunteers who keep this place running. Too many to name all of them today, but if you see Hannah Hotchkiss or Deb Markham or our super volunteers, Debita and Robert Graham, say hello. Say hello and tell them thank you. You will see a lot of volunteers in action today. So many folks have contributed to this multi-generational service and the events following. It really has been a collaboration stemming from this congregation's vision priority areas. The climate action, climate justice folks have been a leading partner, along with spiritual growth and development, the music and worship team, and the land management team. For those here in person, immediately after the service, we will head outside to bless the area that will become the ancestors' grove of trees. All of you are welcome to join us for the brief ceremony and then return to the social hall for a variety of Earth Day related activities. And there's something for everyone of all ages. On Saturday, the 29th at 10 a.m. on Zoom, you are all invited to a gathering table. This will be a discussion of our current and future Vision 2050 climate and environment work. Your input from before was distilled into a new climate action plan, and you can pick up a copy of this in the social hall or read it on the UUAA website. You can register for the gathering table event on the website, uuaa.org, yes. Add a slash in there somewhere. And one final reminder, next Sunday, April 30th, there's a special congregational meeting on Zoom only, so there won't be anyone here on Sunday morning. You need to register and join the meeting on Zoom. It begins at 10:30 a.m. with a short worship segment, followed immediately by the business. It's an important way to engage with the community and know and keep informed about what is happening. Now, today, through ritual, music, and story, we will explore the interconnected web of life of which we are a part. We will see what we have inherited from our ancestors, what our place in the natural world is right now, and how our current actions will affect the future. So come with me now as we begin our Earth Day celebration. Close your eyes for a moment, if you'd like, and listen to a description of how nature speaks to us. This is from Mindfulness in the Garden, Zen Tools for Digging in the Dirt, by Zekiah Murray. He says, nature speaks in the vibrant, arched colors of the rainbow, in the rustling bellies of leaves upon the wind, and in the full-throated trumpet call of a male peacock, steam rising from his wide open mouth. It speaks to us in the fresh scent of green earth, in moistening raindrops tapping tunes upon the earth's skin, the humming of a bumblebee as it floats from poppy to poppy, joyfully circling its body around the golden stamens pregnant with pollen, and in the voice of an apple's red skin. Its language is the blooming of rosebuds into the petals of brilliant feather-like beings, the unfurling of lush, star-shaped leaves as the sweet gum tree's native summer garb, and the decadence of a shiny blue bowl full of rich golden and brown stippled pears. May we be surrounded by the multitude of ways nature speaks to us each and all as we are gathered for worship.
Good morning. We are building a beloved community in everything that we do. From the songs we sing, to the stories we tell, to the rituals that we practice. When we gather together on Sunday mornings with open minds and loving hearts, we begin by lighting our chalice to signal our commitment to one another and to the world we cherish. It reminds us that we are not alone, that there are Unitarian Universalists all over the world engaging in this beautiful shared practice, and that we are a global community seeking peace, justice, and love. This morning, I am delighted to invite Dave Friedrichs from the Green Building team to join me on the chancel to help light our chalice. For our members, friends, and guests that are joining us remotely, I invite you to light a chalice of your own and share your location with us in the chat, or simply write "Chalice Lit," that we may be together, if not in body, then in spirit. Together, let us say, "We light this chalice for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action. We light this chalice for the harmony of peace." Thank you, Dave. Another way that we begin our time together is by reciting the words of our covenant. As UUs, we are not bound by a single creed, but by the promises that we make to one another about how we will be together as a faith community committed to peace, love, and justice. So whether you are joining us for the first time or whether you have these words memorized, please join us as we say together, "The spirit of this church is love, and service is its law. This is our covenant with each other, to dwell together in peace, to search for truth in love, and to help one another." Thank you.
So in a moment, the Chalice singers will sing their first anthem called "The Peace of Wild Things." And if you want to read the text, it's a poem of the same name by Wendell Berry, and you can find it in the order of service, UUAA.org/OOS. Now, I have a special request, especially for all the young ones here, all of you right here in front of me, and the families, and for all the grown-ups as well, if you want to join in. Are you ready to listen to music in a new way this morning? Yeah? For this particular piece, if you happen to have a shaker, we're going to ask that you put it under your chair and keep it very, very quiet for this one time. So just set them down under the chair. Later, I promise, you'll be able to use them. So I'm going to invite you to lie down and close your eyes while we listen to this piece of music. Anyone may do this. There's a lot of space around the edges. Now listen, when the music starts, you're going to hear the piano make some very low sounds, and maybe you can feel that in your body. And sometimes the music will be really big and loud, and sometimes very quiet. The person in the song is feeling a bit sad, and they go lie down near a pond of water out in nature. So imagine you are that person lying very still. Imagine there are ducks and other wild birds on the water, and you stay very, very still so you don't frighten them. Maybe the piano will even sound like water. So listen for that part, okay? So let's start. Lie down if you want, or just sit very quietly. You may close your eyes if you want to, and let's listen. Thank you. Thank you, Chalice singers. Did you feel calm after listening to that music? Could you hear the piano sounding like water? Yeah? Sometimes we have to go far from our homes until we can find a peaceful spot on this planet, near water or among trees. But it wasn't always so. There was a time before us, before we joined the plant and animal life that lived on the planet before us. Before the number of humans grew and grew and grew, before we caused great harm to the natural world and endangered all of its inhabitants. Our first story today will remind us of that time in the past and remind us of what we can do to make a better future. Our story is called Once Upon Another Time, written by Charles Ghigna and Matt Forrest Essenwein, and illustrated by Andres F. Landazabal. Once upon another time, in a land of long ago, mountains peaked up through the clouds, bright with fallen snow. Rivers rushed through canyon walls, rainbows rose from waterfalls. Wonder waited in the hush of every new sunrise. Flocks of sparrows rode the breeze and filled the morning skies. The land was fresh, the air was clean, the valleys lush with shades of green. There were no cities made of steel, no buildings, no concrete, no highways, byways, billboard signs, no traffic in the street. There were no drones or airplanes flying past a smoggy sun. There were no phones or internet. The webs were spider spun. Before our tools and grand machines, before we harnessed wind and streams, before we mined for gold and oil, before we learned to work the soil, before one human step was taken, earth and moon and stars awakened. Once upon another time, the world was young and new. If you want to know this world, there's something you can do. Leave behind the phones and screens and take a step outdoors. Breathe in air that once was shared by monstrous dinosaurs. Feel the wind upon your skin. Imagine where that wind has been. Hold an oak leaf, trace its veins, chase a rainbow, taste the rain. Look up as the passing clouds drift before your eyes. Behold, their wondrous dance unfolds, a ballet in the skies. Walk through sunny fields of grass, climb a maple tree, smell the clover wild and sweet, listen to the bees. Pitch a tent, watch the moon, listen to the crickets' tune. And to the sky the sun will climb, just as it did another time. The end. There is a West African saying that it takes a whole village to raise a child. In fact, that's the words to the next piece the choir will sing. The idea is that even if something is hard, like raising a child, it's easier if we share the work. And as a result, we can all share the joy as well. Everyone benefits from working together. It's true with raising children, it's true for how we take care of our planet, and it's true for how we take care of UUAA. It takes a whole congregation to sustain our ministries. We can do that by individually and collectively volunteering our time and talents, but it also takes a whole congregation's financial support to make it possible for us to do all the things we want to do. Your financial gifts support building maintenance, the staff, even the coffee and donuts, youth education, technology, music, the list goes on and on. It takes a whole village, and you are the village. Any amount you give eases the burden and increases the joy. Think about what this congregation means to you, and give as generously as you are able. You may drop cash or a check in the baskets. You can give online at uuaa.org/giving, or you can try the really easy and fun way, text UUAA to 73256. If today a financial gift is just not possible, it's okay. Know that your presence with us is still a gift. The ushers will now come forward. Today's offering will gratefully be given and received while we enjoy the Chalice Singers' anthem called It Takes a Village. This time, you don't have to lay down with your eyes closed. You might want to dance along or use your shakers.
It takes a whole village to raise our children. It takes a whole village to raise one child. We all, everyone, must share the burden. We all, everyone, will share the joy. Takes a whole village to raise our children. It takes a whole village to raise one child. We all, everyone, must share the burden. We all, everyone, will share the joy.
Thank you again, Chalice singers, Carter, Allison, and Cal Anders for our solo, and for all the percussionists here, thank you. Yes. Would the ushers please come forward now, and would you all rise in body or in spirit and join me in saying the words we use to dedicate our offering and our lives to our work for justice. So let us say together, to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings. Thank you. You may have a seat.
It takes a whole village. Isn't that just another way to describe the interdependent web that we honor today? We share the burdens and the joys. Every living thing on this planet has a role to play, from the smallest microorganism to the oldest, tallest redwood tree. How can something small make a big difference? Well, our second story for all ages explores this idea from the point of view of a simple earthworm, doing its earthworm thing, minding its earthworm business, when a curious mouse comes along and asks a very important question. Carl and the Meaning of Life. Written and illustrated by Deborah Freedman. Carl was not a bird. Carl was not a bear or a beaver. Carl was an earthworm. He lived underground, moving, always moving, burrowing, tunneling, digesting dead leaves, feasting and casting, turning hard dirt into fluffy soil, day after day. Why? Asked a field mouse gathering seeds. Why do you do that? Why? Carl did not know why, but now he needed to find out. So Carl stopped making fluffy soil. I'll be right back, he told the field mouse. He spotted a rabbit. Maybe she knew. Why do I do what I do? He asked her. Oh, goodness dear, she said. I do not know. I do what I do for my babies. But Carl did not have babies. A fox appeared. Carl turned to the fox. Why do I do what I do? Asked Carl. Who do I do it for? For whom? Replied the fox. Alas, my meal awaits. I am here for the hunt. But Carl did not want to hunt. Why are you talking to a fox? Cried a squirrel. Carl was startled. Because the field mouse is waiting and wants to know what I am here for. The squirrel declared, I'm here to plant trees. Trees are where I sleep. But Carl could not sleep, not high in a tree, and not without an answer for the mouse. He pushed on. And on. Hours turned into days until the soil was no longer fluffy. The ground around Carl turned barren and dry while he continued to search. What? Who? Why? But the birds had flown off to find grasses and fluff. The bear trundled away to look for berries. Soon there was nobody left to talk to. What about me? Called Carl. The clouds were silent. So was the air. I will never find out, he sniffled. Then Carl heard his sniffle echo, followed by a squeak. I can't find any grubs, a voice cried. It was the saddest ground beetle he had ever seen. Carl peeked under a stone. No grubs. Then he poked at the dirt. It was hard, like rock. Where was his fluffy soil? Suddenly, Carl knew what he needed to do. I'll be back, he promised. For hours into days, weeks into months, Carl munched, digested, left castings, and tunneled and turned that hard dirt back into rich soil. You made my seeds grow, said the mouse. Clover blossomed once again, and the rabbit came back with her kits. The squirrel returned to plant new trees. The fox was lured by the hunt. All of them able to do what they do. How? Well, why not ask Carl? The end. I learned a lot about earthworms this week. They are so cool. The common earthworms that tunnel in our gardens are transforming the dirt under our feet into rich soil that other plants and animals need to survive and thrive. They love cool, dark, wet places. I learned that they have 5 hearts, and they breathe through their skin, in air and water, which means that earthworms can't drown. Their bodies are made up of over 100 segments covered in bristles that they use to move through the ground. They are hermaphroditic creatures, meaning that individual worms have both male and female reproductive organs. And did you know that there are upwards of 7,000 species of earthworm on our planet? And some of them can grow up to 20 feet long. Now, I can't very well tell you that without showing a few pictures. You can see the foot for scale on that one. Can you imagine? Nope, nope, nope. I concur. Now, don't worry, you won't find these worms in your garden. Ours are typically about 4 or 5 inches, but they can grow to as long as 14 inches. Not quite on the scale of the giant species, but I would feel a little squeamish if I saw an earthworm that was longer than a foot. I really went down an earthworm rabbit hole. But, it turns out that earthworms have a lot to teach us. Not only do they create the soil that we use to grow our food, and earthworms themselves are food for predators like raccoons, frogs, and birds. What a perfect illustration of the grand interplay that surrounds us, that includes us, the give and take of nature with a capital N. As Achiah Murray writes once again from Mindfulness in the Garden, we are the earth and we are the gardener. We are the lotus and the mud, the hawk and the condor, the butterfly and the stink bug. Knowing that everything is us and we are everything, we see and experience life as a generous continuation of giving and receiving. This is the meaning of life, illustrated beautifully by Carl and his animal friends. As we absorb the wisdom of earthworms, I invite you to consider why Earth Day is so important to us as UUs. I wanted to share with you the words of our 7th UU principle. Respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Now, it sounds fairly straightforward, but I want to unpack some bits of it a little bit. So what's the first important word that you see? Respect. There's a reason that we chose that particular word. So what does the word respect actually mean? What's a synonym that you can think of? Honor, or maybe admire. Now, admiration is definitely a piece of it, but it also means the honoring the traditions and feelings and the rights of others. And don't we also show respect by avoiding harm? The word respect lifts up the idea that we exist in relationship to the world around us, that we are not separate, which leads us to the next part of the principle, the interdependent web. Our friend Carl works the soil, which in turn provides grubs for the beetles, makes the seeds grow for the mouse, and the clover blossom for the rabbit and her kits, allows the squirrel to plant new trees and the fox to resume his hunt. And they can't do what they do without Carl. And then all of the resulting organic matter from the fox and the rabbit and the mouse and the beetle and the grub goes back into the earth, ready to be composted once again by Carl. Earthworms need dirt, and dirt needs earthworms. Plants need pollinators, and pollinators need plants. Trees need us, and we need trees. It's that mutual need, that relationship that creates community. And what is the earth but a giant, diverse community? That remarkable reciprocity is everywhere, and it leads us to the last phrase of the principle, of which we are a part. Now, it doesn't say of which we are the center, or of which we are the most important part. There's a reason we use the image of a web and not a pyramid. We are just one part, no more or less important to our earthly community than a bullfrog or a blue whale or a dandelion or the invisible bacteria that populates our bodies inside and out. We like to think there's a vast difference between humans and earthworms, or between humans and other creatures that we perceive as less complex than we are. But that's an illusion. We are just one part of this deeply complex system of interconnected pieces that work in tandem to sustain life. I watched this great documentary called Dirt, the movie, that poses the following question. If there was a united organization of organisms, and each organism had the right to vote, would we be voted off the planet? What do you think? I think if that vote were held today, would we even have a fighting chance to stay here? Sometimes when I'm reading history books, especially the ones about the distant past, I try to imagine what the natural world looked like then, much like the pictures from our first story. My mind's eye conjures massive flocks of birds soaring through the sky, herds of deer and buffalo roaming across the Great Plains, and an abundance of fish in our oceans and rivers. I imagine the deciduous forests, lush and expansive, stretching out for acre upon acre, the pristine beaches covered in shells and other bits of sea life, the swamplands overflowing with alligators, turtles, and snakes. As our first story showed us, these landscapes existed once, and they can exist again if we commit to collective action to heal the earth and thus heal ourselves. Have you heard of Rikers Island? Unfortunately, it's a notorious jail in New York City, known for violence and abuse. Well, I learned that for 3 decades, inmates have tended the oldest, largest prison garden in the country, and it's called the greenhouse. Experts from the Horticultural Society of New York work together with the inmates to design the landscape, build the infrastructure, and choose seeds from catalogs. What began as a job training program evolved into an opportunity for genuine, reparative, restorative therapy. I read testimonials from participants about how working the soil transformed them. As one explained, you need to figure out what bad stuff to cut out to get the good stuff to grow. How's that for a metaphor? And the data shows that incarcerated people who participate in gardening programs are significantly less likely to reoffend, and many end up working for the very programs that changed their lives. In other words, working in nature, tending a garden, nurturing our earth can feed our spirits as well as our bodies. There's a therapeutic gardening program right here in Ann Arbor at St. Joseph Mercy Hospital, designed for patients rehabilitating from strokes and traumatic brain injuries. I read about one patient who'd been in and out of several rehab centers since he was a 7-year-old, and he called the universally accessible Hoop House Garden at St. Joe's the most impactful therapeutic approach of his entire recovery. What a testament to the power of dirt to restore us to our truest selves. Many cultural and religious traditions teach us that we were born of the earth. From the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 7, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being." According to Egyptian mythology, the god Khnum constructs human children out of clay before placing them in their mother's wombs. The Yoruba of West Africa believe that the god Obatala created the human race out of clay. The Maori people of New Zealand, the Malagasy of Madagascar, the Gandhi people of India, the Dinka of Sudan, the indigenous Inupiat of Alaska, Laotians, Vietnamese, the Norse, the Zoroastrians, all of these and many more tell some version of the creation of life from clay or dirt. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. We come from the earth, and to the earth we shall return. But this elegant cycle of life and death will only continue if we commit to a new way forward. The earth can heal if we truly live into each and every word of our 7th principle. The interdependent web will thrive if we heed the lessons of earthworms. I return once more to the wisdom of Zekiah Murray, who writes, "As we allow the edge between ourselves and nature to soften, we grow in compassion. We see that we are all guests in the interconnected web of life, and we commit ourselves to finding common ground upon which all beings may thrive." Start small. If you see an earthworm in a puddle on the sidewalk and it's a hot, sunny day, gently pick it up and return it to the grass. You might get some dirt and slime on your fingers, and that's okay. That dirt and slime is a part of you. It is sacred. Just imagine the world we can make together, if only we are willing to get our hands dirty. May it be so.
Perhaps you got your hands dirty when you were gathering some dirt to bring with you today. Perhaps it's soil from where you find peace or power or joy. Maybe from your garden, your playground, your favorite hiking trail, maybe from the resting place of someone or something you loved. There's power in all of those places. And as you bring your dirt into the communal pots here, reflect on what you want to leave to compost and what you want to grow. Likewise, with a bit of nature that you brought with you to add to our nature altar that was begun in the first service, and you'll get to add to it. As you leave something there, reflect on how you are just one part of the interconnected, interdependent web of life. Reflect on how the individual pieces, when gathered together, create something beautiful and unique, something we couldn't have imagined before. Reflect on the power of community. And for those joining us remotely, I invite you to hold some of the soil you have gathered in your hands. Feel it on your fingers. Breathe in the earthy scent. Think about its life-giving properties. And if you have some items of nature with you, maybe arrange them in a small circle while reflecting on the same questions. And if you want, share some of your thoughts in the chat. Know that you can bring the soil and those items to UUAA later if you want them to be included here. Now, during the ritual, you will hear Allison's piano music surrounding you while you wait for your turn to come up front. And we're going to go section by section, and we trust that you will line up and come forward as the space opens at the tables. Now, if for any reason you're not easily able to come to the front, just raise your hand or let us know, and we will bring the ritual to you. And if you didn't have a chance to bring some dirt, it's okay. We have extra here that you can use, and we also have some extra items for you to use to place on the nature altar. Everyone is invited to participate. So we're going to begin with any choir members who want to, and people in this section, to come up first, add your dirt to the dirt communion, and then move towards the table there. After that, we'll move to this section. And then after that, the middle section, you can each go to each side of the aisles there. And I'll help remind you when it's time for those things. Okay? So let's begin.
That was just beautiful. For those of you that are worshiping with us from afar, these communal pots will be outside on the walkway to the main entrance if you would like to add your dirt to the pots in the weeks ahead. This dirt we have gathered together today, filled with metaphorical compost and seeds and some very real little roly-polies, will live in our outdoor spaces and be a blessing to us always. When I gesture to you like this, please join me in saying, we bless this dirt. In the knowledge that we are all of us imperfect, but come together in communities of grace, we bless this dirt. In the faith that what we compost will lead to new life, and what we grow will open up new possibilities, we bless this dirt. In the belief that humans share an origin and a common destiny, we bless this dirt. In a sustaining faith in human redemption and growth, we bless this dirt. In understanding that all living creatures are connected and have a right to healthy earth, we bless this dirt. In honor of the wisdom of earthworms, we bless this dirt. In hopes that we all continue to grow together in mind, body, and spirit, we bless this dirt.
I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and turn to number 21 in the gray hymnal. Let us join together in singing For the Beauty of the Earth, number 21.
a seat. We have the earth that we have gathered and blessed. We have water from our past water communion ceremonies that connects us to all who have come before. We have a flame from our chalice that links us to Unitarian Universalists all over the world. And we have the air around us that makes it possible for us to sing. We have the earth, the water, the fire, the air. In a moment, we will carry these elements outside behind the social hall to gather for a short ceremony to bless the place where the ancestors' grove of trees will be planted. After the words of benediction, you are all welcome to join the procession. You may choose to stay inside and check out all that is happening in the social hall. So before we extinguish the chalice, we're transferring the flame to a small lantern. And some of you may recall it was the way you carried the flame from the old church to this new place. We are at once connecting our past to the present and to the future when a community of trees, diverse and native to this land, will be planted. Now, as you go into the week ahead, may we each find the peace of wild things, see the beauty of the earth, hear the breath of our ancestors, and feel the joy of being part of a community, the beloved community we aspire to create in this world. Go now in peace, my friends. Amen.
The earth, the water, the fire,